This is the Ecwid e-commerce show with your host, Jesse Ness, along with Richard O'Tay.
Happy Friday, Richie. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Excellent. Excited about today. I think this is going to be a little bit of a different show. It's going to be more educational. So if you're in your car right now listening and you're like, I don't want education, this one's not for you. But if you're looking to learn, I think today we're going to have some really useful nuggets for people that are kind of just getting started. So this is going to be a introduction to e-commerce advertising. Rich, does that sound exciting? Could I do a better title? What do you think?
No, I mean, I love it, but I'm going to clarify something. All the shows are educational.
Okay, all right.
I think thing this is going to be actually entertaining too, because I get to put you on the spot today.
Okay, I like it.
Because, a lot of people could know if they've been listening for a while, but just for those who just started listening, I just want to remind everybody and let everybody know why Jesse is highly qualified for me to put him on the spot today. Is Jesse's spent millions and millions of dollars on advertising. He started out working in an agency, and has his own side businesses that he runs advertising towards, and he runs all the advertising for Ecwid. So he's done it in every capacity, from being a store owner like yourselves, running it for other store owners, and now runs it for a business that has a bunch of store owners. So I think you pretty much have it covered on many levels. I think what our hardest challenge between us, because we've been in this game for a while, is going to be reminding ourselves that this show is about momentum for these people. They're just getting started. Some of them have been going for a while, but they may not have advertised even yet. And we want to make sure that they're ready for the holidays, and they're not just waiting to start right for the holidays. And although we mention this is a holiday, this is going to be able to be evergreen, right? Like, we're going to state this in such a way for everyone that they're listening next June, next April, next January, and you're hearing this for the first time, it still applies. For sure.
So the idea here is to get people started, start building their store. We all had to start somewhere. So I've spent a lot of money with Google and Facebook, made a lot of mistakes, seen a lot of where other people make mistakes. So I'm hoping to kind of give that like an expert level view to where people are just starting out, and give the right tips to get going. And yeah, it happens to be September right now, so this is a great time to get started for the holidays. If you listen to this later, great. This is still going to apply, but because it's September, this is kind of the time where people are looking at their store and like, sales aren't really where they want to be, or I don't have any traffic yet, or kind of fill in the blank. So because of that, if you've listened to the podcast, we talk about a lot of different traffic strategies. So maybe you've already done a lot of the different strategies and you're getting a bunch of free traffic. Great. That's awesome. Free traffic is awesome. I think for most people, it's not.
To kind of break down where I think you're going with that is, you're talking specifically about people creating content, trying to go the SEO route. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think you believe they should be doing both, but it takes a while.
Yes.
And it's harder because there's a lot of moving variables, but you can actually see results pretty darn quick with advertising.
For sure. You should always do both, and free traffic is great, but it is becoming harder. Like Google and Facebook kind of control the internet. Let's just be honest about it. Like they're the gatekeepers, and they don't really want to send you free traffic. They don't get paid for that.
Because, by the way, listeners, they make their money from selling advertising. That is their business model. There's little things here and there they're doing on the side. They got Oculus and Facebook, and there's,
Yes.
But their main focus on revenue is advertising.
Yes. So if you're in the e-commerce game, you have to play by the e-commerce rules, and the rules are, generally speaking, I'm not like, there's asterisks a bunch, of course. generally speaking, you should probably be advertising. And if you're getting ready for the holidays and it's September, you really want to sell something this holiday season, okay, then you should be advertising. Like that's what's going to get you going in the next 30 to 60 days.
I don't know what it was in what we just said that sparked this, and I do not have hard stats on this, but it would not surprise me at all, based on things we've both seen, that your organic stuff is going to get seen more too. Right? Like it's not written in anything, but if this person starts advertising a lot more, there's probably, you're helping people stay on their platforms. So I don't know exactly percentages. I'm not claiming any hard stats, but wouldn't be remotely surprised if your organic content gets seen more too when you're priming the pump with advertising.
Yeah, that's some real conspiracy level theory stuff there, Rich. Like you're probably going to get in trouble from somebody, but yeah, the
bring it on.
Yeah,
bring it on.
The best way to get traffic to your site is to have traffic to your site. So once you start getting traffic, there's very likely you're going to get more traffic. And how do you get traffic today? You pay for it. Like, I just want to be real about it. Like, and I'm not being real to try to make money for Google and Facebook. I'm just trying to be real to help you, the listener, because as we've talked about in other podcasts, when people downgrade, all the reasons that people put when they leave, we see them, and we see a lot of them, and sometimes it's very helpful for us. So if you give good reasons, we will eventually change what we do. Like we build new features to fix that. But I see a lot of the things are like, oh, I didn't get any sales. Oh, I don't have, I don't want to advertise, and so I didn't get any sales. And like, well, yeah, you didn't get any. What did you do to try to get traffic? You don't just open up a store and get traffic. It doesn't work that way. If somebody told you that, they were lying to you. I never said that. Like you'll not see any ads that I say, sign up and you'll get free traffic and free sales. It just doesn't work that way. So
right, and just to clarify too, because I know for those of you who didn't hear the sarcasm, by no means saying there's a conspiracy theory or any of that. What we're talking about is when you put your message in front of somebody with advertising dollars, they're going to see it. Because if you don't get results, you won't give them more money. And if you don't give them more money, they don't make money as a business. So they want you to succeed. Now, how much you pay and what your margins are, like I don't know all that stuff. So that's where you'll learn over time whether it's working or whether it's not. But you'll see it more. And so let's just say, and then we'll dive into it. Let's just say you spent advertising, you drove them to your site. Well, more time on site, you potentially could actually show up in more search results. So it's literally not even remotely conspiracy. That we joke with you a lot if you haven't noticed, but it's just the way we know for sure you can get people to your site, to your products, is to spend money.
Yep, I agree. And Rich, that was the bolded level there. Like if you want to make it and you want to make money by this holiday season, you should start advertising now. So you think that was enough tough love, Rich? Did we, all right.
Let's get started.
All right. We stirred the pot a little bit. All right. So let's just talk high level, basic ways to advertise online. So I'm not going to mention any names of companies now. I'm going to talk about 3 different methods. I'm going to break them down to search, display, and remarketing. So by search, I mean when people type in the exact keyword into a browser, right? Or maybe they speak that word into a device. So at some level, they're searching for what they want. Maybe that's research, maybe that's I'm looking to buy, or maybe it's but it's the best signal you're going to get. That it's the best signal that the search engines are going to get that the person who typed this in really wants this thing or wants to learn about this thing. So, search probably is kind of the start of the online advertising journey. So that's search in a nutshell. That makes sense without going too deep.
Oh, totally. No, it did. And I'll mention something here is this is not to get worried about all the information that these companies know about us, but for the most part, most people stay signed in to Google and most people stay signed in to Facebook. And those are the two main companies we'll go over. We'll be touching bases on some other people, but 80% of the stuff is or more is coming from these two companies. And we're going to kind of group in Facebook and Instagram together because they're pretty much the same company, or they are the same company, even though they do different things. But since you're logged in and everyone hears about AI and all this stuff, they're getting information. And so if you've been looking for other things, Jesse's going to get into kind of how some of this stuff works. They have that information, and they're going to know, like, this person's probably trying to buy something right now, and they're going to know who to put that in front of. So I just wanted to let people kind of remember, you hear in the news, you don't necessarily want this information to be out there, but we benefit from all these things. We benefit from being served up the things we want. And so we're not going to get into the political side of stuff and the information and all that. What we're really going to talk about today is how this stuff can benefit your business, because these companies have information and they know who to put these ads in front of. So let's dive in. What's the first one you want to go into is search?
Yeah, so search. So that just means you typed in the words, you spoke the words. That's the best intent signal that you have. So if you sell products that are very easily searchable, this is probably a very good place for you to play. So we're going to keep moving on, though. Like we're going to come back to this, obviously. All right. So if you're taking notes, number 1 is search. Number 2 is display. And so by display, I'm not just talking about banner ads. I'm talking about you're letting the algorithms do the work. Okay. So that's kind of to what Rich was talking about, that maybe you searched for something a week ago and all of a sudden you start to see banner ads, or you see ads related to that a week later. It's maybe because you searched, or maybe it's because the algorithms have determined that you are a perfect target for that. So it's not necessarily related to search. It might just be demographics, but it's usually at a deeper level than just demographics. It's not, I'm a mid-40s male, so I should be interested in that. It's going to be way deeper. They know my favorite sports team and how many kids I have and where I live, and that's just still demographic level, like way deeper level stuff that I probably don't even know about myself. So display is, we're basically letting the algorithm and choosing the audiences. We're kind of guiding the algorithm by letting the platforms know the audiences we want to target and the products, and then kind of letting the algorithm do the work in general. So that's kind of display. Number 3 on this is remarketing. So you might say display and remarketing are kind of the same thing. I'm talking more about the level of targeting. So remarketing happens to usually be display. So usually you're seeing an ad, whether that's a banner ad or a video or whatever, but you are targeted based on the fact that you have been to the site before. So getting back into intent, this is another higher level of intent. Anybody who has been to your website and has potentially looked at a product or interacted with your social platforms, and then they see an ad later, that's remarketing at a very high level. And there's a level of intent there as well. I'd much rather spend $100 advertising my products to people who have been to my website than some random person who may or may not even know what I'm advertising. So like it is this is the next level of advertising. It's not hard at all, but just know that there's a couple ways, 3 different ways to advertise. So we'll kind of break that down again. There's search. That means they typed in or spoke in some words that show strong intent. Display is you're letting the algorithms kind of choose the intent. And then remarketing is they have definitely been to your website or social profile or whatever, and we're showing ads based on that interaction. So
yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. Simple, to the point. We're keeping it in those 3 basic ways to do your online advertising.
And I didn't mention any platforms there either.
No,
These are just
I get
concepts.
it. And we'll dive into each of those a little more here in a little bit. But trying to keep it at its basic level, what are some of the platforms and what are some of the tools, again, at the basic level, because they're just getting started. We'd rather them use mostly free tools and things that are accessible for nominal or free. So I'll leave that up to you. And what are those basic tools that they can do? And then we'll dive in deeper into.
Yep. All right. So this is more like the definitions or the glossary here. So platforms are the advertising platforms, right? So that's Google, Facebook, Instagram. Again, I'm going to say is the same as Facebook. Then it could be Pinterest. It could be Snapchat. It could be any of the different platforms where you're going to put your credit card in to pay them advertising, right? So those are platforms. The next thing we want to talk about is pixels. So for some reason, pixels is a scary word to people. Pixels is just the mechanism that the platforms use to track. So, if you're using Facebook, there's a Facebook pixel. And that just means that there's a little tiny piece of code that's on your website so that when somebody visits your site, your Facebook account knows it and knows whether they purchased or what pages they visited. Same with Google, Pinterest, Snapchat. Everybody has a pixel, and they're extremely easy to install. So that's why I said people are scared about this word. Like, oh my God, pixels, I don't know what that is. It's just a tiny piece of code. It's on your website that helps you track. And in Ecwid, generally speaking, the pixels, it's going to be you click a button to say install this pixel. So that doesn't cover all the cases, but in general, if you want to work with these platforms, it's very easy to install a pixel. Probably means clicking a button to say install or placing a little bit of code. So
yeah, and worst case scenario, use the chat feature in Ecwid.
Talk to support and say, hey, how do I get this pixel? How do I heard a podcast where Jesse and Rich were talking about pixels. How do I install my Facebook pixel? They'll help you. It's simple. Do not let this be a blocker for you. Like, go use chat, install the pixel. All right. Okay. Next tool is product feeds. This is a little bit harder, but again, I'm going to say pretty easy. So product feeds it takes your product catalog. So the picture, the price, the description, the name of your product, and puts it into essentially an Excel file. It's not really an Excel file, but puts it into a file that the platforms can then read, and then they can use this for just kind of better advertising, right, in general.
And to your point, just to correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is work you've already done. And now what you're referring to when you say it's going to take a little bit of work, it's really just going to take a little bit of work in the beginning. Once you get these feeds working,
you don't have to do anything.
It's already in there, you're done, and then it's kind of set it and forget it.
Yeah, and let's say you use some other platform, it might be hard. With Ecwid, it's going to be easy. I'm laughing here, I'm smiling about it. But we've built all this stuff in, so you look for the section, you click it, you say, I want a Google product feed, I want a Facebook product feed, and then you can even use those feeds for other platforms as well. So, but product feeds help the platforms know the exact products you have rather than your URL, right? So your URL is nice, but having the product feed is even better. So again, talk to support if you want a little bit of help, but this is you don't need this right away, but you're going to need this eventually. So kind of keep that in mind. That's product feeds. It's basically the list of all your products and information fed to the platforms. All right, so last tool, a lot of the things we're going to talk about, there are automated options. So we have automated Facebook advertising, automated Google advertising, automated Google shopping. A lot of this stuff is automated, and it's also available to DIY. You want to do it yourself? Great. We have all the same tools there. So automated or DIY, just know they're probably both options. And depending on where you're coming from, you may want to choose one or the other. So, all right. We haven't been mentioning the platforms. Let's get into it. So the big one here is obviously Google. So Google is the king of search. So this is how they were built. They basically have monetized every single word in the world. So when you go to Google and you type stuff in, that again shows the best intent. So if you have a store where your products fit where they could easily be searched, this is probably the place where I would start. So we can go into a couple examples. Now, if you listen to a bunch of podcasts, we'll bring up some previous topics. So pancake spatulas, we've been using that lately. So if you have a pancake spatula, people typing in the word pancake spatula, you're going to spit out, here's an ad for pancake spatulas. They obviously want this. They're probably not researching it. Similarly, some of the other products we've mentioned, let's see, we had Cake Safe on. This is quite a while back, but they have basically it's a box that helps you store a cake so you can ship it either in the mail or go on a plane or whatever, right? Kind of a unique thing.
I think about that literally at least monthly, if not weekly. That one pops up. It still blows my mind that not only is that a business, but it's a flourishing business.
Yeah.
And they're doing quite well, and they use advertising too.
Absolutely. So yes, if you're listening, there's a business out there with several employees that sells a box that stores cakes. It's awesome. So your niche is probably not as small as you think, just FYI. All right. Little sidebar there. All right. So now when people search the term like, how do I safely ship my cake across the country, right? So what's best for you to show up there? Do you want a text ad, which is kind of traditional Google, or is it better for there to be a picture with a price right below it? That's Google Shopping. Depending on your product, you may want one or the other. So with CakeSafe, it's kind of a hard concept to understand. So you probably want to show the picture, right? Like, okay, yeah, oh, I see. It's a plexiglass thing. It's got a little rod through there. I can see how that would keep my cake safe. So perfect. So you're going to want to focus in on the Google Shopping ads. So those are Google Shopping ads. If your product is maybe not as visual, so we had Kissed by a Bee on. So they make it's kind of like all natural creams that's good for curing eczema, and right, like so it's a cream and it's in a jar. So is that visual? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, it might work visually, but a text ad might be better because then you can mention it's all natural, made from bees, cures your eczema, blah, 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 all natural, organic. So a text ad probably works better for that type of product. For you listening, where does your product fit in? I don't know. You kind of have to make that call. Is it a more visual product where the picture and the price does the selling on its own, or do you need a little more explanation and a text ad might be better? That's up to you. The answer is probably you should do both, right? Like, I don't know why you wouldn't do both, but you can do either. You can do both. But the text ads is regular, like Google Ads now. They used to be called Google AdWords. It's just Google Ads. Google Shopping is the image ad. Both of those need a pixel. And to use the Google Shopping ads, you need the product feeds that we talked about previously. So just tying it together here, I feel like a professor here. I don't know. I feel like I need a chalkboard or a whiteboard or something here. But anyway, so that's a little bit tying that together. Rich, I don't go too deep on search, but did that make sense, do you think? Is there any more color I want to add to search and Google search specifically?
No, I mean, that's fantastic. I think it is base level. What you're saying is search is an active process where someone's trying to go out and find something, and display is kind of the more passive. And so having these product feeds that can get displayed in front of people, like back to your comment of, with Google Shopping and or text ads, probably should be doing both there too. But no, overall, it was perfect on search. Like, I get it. And we're trying to keep this where They're things you could actually use and do and apply and get momentum for the holidays or anytime you're listening to this. But all of these we could go a lot deeper on, but we're not trying to paralyze you. We're trying to get you to say, wow, this sounds pretty easy, and I should probably do this because it is pretty easy.
It is
and
pretty
you
easy.
should be doing this, especially with Ecwid. It's easy.
Yep. So it's super easy. If your products specifically are going to be, they fit in the search world where there's a word that describes your product. It's very specific, and people look for it on the internet. You're going to want to start here on Google and search. So we didn't mention there's a couple other platforms there. You can use Bing as well. I would 100% start on Google, and then once you get it going in Google, there's a function in Bing to import everything over from Google into Bing. So Bing can be easy. It just doesn't have the market share. It's maybe 10 or 15% of the size of Google. There's also this big company called Amazon, which is also very important for search. So again, if you're starting out, I would be very cautious here. But if you're getting going a little bit, a lot of time there's great intent on Amazon. If people go and search on Amazon, they're buyers. They're ready to buy. So as you get a little bit more advanced, there are advertising options in Amazon as well. So anyway, that's search. There's both automated options. You can find them in the control panel, the Ecwid control panel. So we can automate search. We can automate the text ads. There's DIY options as well, where you can set these up yourself. And I will say Google's done a pretty good job of their onboarding process. They walk you through it pretty well. And if you start spending money, you can call them now, and they will actually help you set this stuff up. And the reps are quite a bit better than it used to be. So anyway, if you're doing it yourself, you're not totally on it on your own. Google will help you out with that. So, all right, that's search. There's books written about it. We did that in about 5 minutes. So, all right. Now we're going to go on to like the main display area, and this is Facebook and Instagram. Again, we're saying Facebook, Instagram, essentially the same thing, because when you advertise on Facebook and Instagram, it's the exact same place to advertise. It's the Facebook Business Manager. So you do need a Facebook Business Manager account. It's very easy to set that up. But in general, when we talk about display, this is, again, the algorithm is choosing who sees your ad. So, like Rich, you were talking before, when you're searching in Google, it's an active process. Are you active on Facebook? I mean, are you're kind of killing time.
Yeah, for the most part. Luckily, I don't do that too much. I'm mostly trying to do ads or something on there too. But yeah, I mean, when you're on Facebook, at its base level, and or Instagram, and there's exceptions to every rule we're talking about here, but for the most part, you're looking to do some sort of research or find something or learn more about something on Google. You're usually trying to find out what's going on with your friends or your family or going on in the world, and it's really a little more passive, and you're discovering things on Facebook.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about advertising on Facebook and Instagram, realize that you're probably interrupting somebody. So they're looking at pictures of kids and dogs and latest news things. So you're kind of getting in the way of them. So you don't want to be as direct. It's not, buy now is probably not the message you want to have in Facebook and Instagram. Think about the advertising you want to have is more like a post to a friend. You want to provide some information, and when you know that you're in Facebook, pictures and videos are way more important. This is not just a text-only world in there. So if you have kids, or you have pets, whatever, you pick up your phone, you push the record button, and you have little videos and little pictures. This is how you should look at your advertising in Facebook and Instagram as well. You need videos, you need pictures, and you need to be a little bit more of a soft sell. So you're not going for the sale right away. You're going for, hey, look at me. Did you know I'm out there? This is something that you might be interested in. And how do we know they might be interested in it? This is the algorithm here. We are letting the Facebook algorithm take over here. And by the way, it's pretty powerful. I don't know. I don't need to get into crazy conspiracy theories here. Like, they know stuff about you that you don't even know about yourself. So, but, so you got to get started. The big but here is that it takes data for Facebook to figure it out. You can't just launch one day and Kissed by a Bee, right? They have eczema cream. Can't just say, find me people that want to buy eczema cream. You have to start feeding data into it. So that means you are doing posts about, hey, here's a customer that had success with this product. Here's a quiz, or here's a question that maybe you can answer. And eventually, Facebook starts to see, okay, here's the people that are engaging with this, and they've also engaged with these other sites. And, so they have these things that's called a lookalike. They know if you start feeding it data about people that engage with your posts and your ads, other people that would also be interested in it. It doesn't happen from day one, but eventually you feed the data to Facebook, it will find other people that are likely to buy your product. So that's again where we say this is you want to interest them, don't go too much on the hard sell, but then let the algorithm take over, right? Rich, any more color on the display side?
No, I mean, I think that just comes back to a couple comments earlier that you want to put these pixels in, but to your point with the data, like if you don't have these pixels in, they can't do this work. And kind of also goes back to why they know so much and how you can take advantage of how much they know is my comment earlier. Most people aren't signing out of these things, right? And so when you're signed into Google and you're signed into Facebook and you're going around, you're doing all this stuff, when you have all those basic tools set up, they're learning more about you. And again, this isn't to be scary. This is what they're doing with your customers too. And so it's kind of a bit of network effect. The more data you have, the better decisions you have. If you don't have a lot of data, it's hard to make good decisions. So no, yep. I love where you're going.
And I'll add to that, kind of forgot about this part. So, we talked about getting the pixel installed. So Facebook knows that people have been to your site, but the most important data ever for an e-commerce store owner is, did they buy, right? So the Facebook pixel allows Facebook to know that they bought. And so, and it takes data. If one person buys, that's not a good enough signal for Facebook to find people like that one person. But if 50 people buy, 100 people buy, Facebook starts to see, oh, okay, 100 people bought and they fit these certain qualifications, right? It's not just age, sex, and income level. It's way deeper than that. Like these people have been to these other sites on the internet, or they have engaged with these other Facebook pages. So you need to start feeding the data. So it's not just they visited, but that they bought. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up because I don't want to go too deep on this because I don't want to. What are you even talking about? But it started with, hey, let's super niche down and tell Facebook exactly who we want to target this into. And I've heard multiple people, myself included, that are actually getting sometimes better results by not narrowing down too much and letting Facebook figure that out for you because they have all that data. And for us to think we can use our minds and crunch our numbers in our mind faster and better than they can, I don't know. So try it a little bit both ways.
Yep, very, very much so. So yeah, there used to be, there still is this very detailed targeting. They've kind of removed some because of the, scandals on, they got a little too creepy for people. So they've removed some of that, but the data is still there and they still know. They know more than you do, right? Like, so anyway, getting back to it, feed the data, feed the algorithm there. Now, getting back to who should be on Facebook, I mean, it's probably everybody should be on Facebook at some level if you're advertising, but the better candidates are people that maybe search doesn't work for you, right? So we talked about if you have products that search is great for, that yes, you have a very specific product, that there's keywords that are associated with it, that's obvious that search is good for you. Facebook is better for people that they don't know that they're looking for your product. They don't know that it exists, but it serves their particular need, and they can be identified by that way. So, for example, going back to a previous guest again, we had Heroic Kid. We had Joe from Heroic Kid. He has very specific products for his son who has type 1 diabetes, and it's like the little patches and things for his his toys, right? So it's very specific, but are you searching for that? I don't know. You don't really know that it exists, so you wouldn't be searching for, I want, what are the products called? Like the insulin machine.
The different pack and the
insulin pack for a stuffed animal. You would never search for that because you would think, why would this ever exist? But on Facebook, it's a different story because there would be people that have interacted with groups, Facebook groups for type 1 diabetes, or children with type 1 diabetes, and how parents there or relatives that are looking for information related to that.
Yeah, plus it's probably a really good one for sharing because here it is, they have this, and you put it up as an ad, but then somebody in there that's part of that group sees that also and shares it because they know someone in their family that lives in Kentucky and they have it. Like whatever, I'm making the places and times, but you get like it's a highly potentially shareable one too because it's a feel-good story. And it's funny, as we're talking about this, although I love getting this information to people, it just reminds me the more you bring up the Ecwid merchants, it's just, man, I really, really want to get into helping. It's part of what we love doing so much is helping them. So for those of you that are listening too, please, I don't want to derail this, but keep filling out that form. Keep calling in. Keep letting us know because we love working specifically with all these different companies like Kiss by a Bee and Heroic Kids and Cake Safe, and just really diving in and seeing how that can help them. So I don't know, maybe we'll even remarket to people who've listened and apply these techniques to the podcast too. But
it's very likely.
Yeah.
it's very likely you're being remarketed to right now, everybody. Don't creep out over that.
Just learn.
And yes. The reason we're giving those examples are you need to think about your product. Is it better for Facebook because there's probably a certain group of people that would be interested in it? You know, it can't be like I sell toilet paper, right? Like that doesn't work because that's everybody. Or it can't, like it has to be very specific and targeted in the Facebook world where even if you don't know how to target, Facebook might know how. Google's more, again, search. So it can be both. Just knowing that maybe where you want to start depends on your products on which would they be better for. All right, so back to that. Going back to number 3 on our little imaginary outline here is remarketing. So again, we talked about remarketing. That's they've been to your site, they've interacted with you in some way. You're now going to show them that ad again. So how do you do remarketing? Well, Facebook and Google both have remarketing products. So again, it kind of depends. I personally would do remarketing on both because then you're hitting them where they're living, right? So maybe their Google remarketing is going to be better for wherever they are on the internet. They're going to be seeing your ads. Facebook is for people that are living mostly in Facebook and Instagram. They're going to see your ads in the Facebook and Instagram feed. Both are important. I don't know which one is more important. It kind of depends, right? Mm-hmm. And then going back to more, that's the concept of remarketing, but the actual medium of it is you can do general banners that are more descriptive of your whole website or your whole business. That can, you want to kind of cover a lot of bases, right? So if you are, so Kiss by a Bee, right? You want to say this is a natural, organic, natural organic cure for eczema, right? I know they have other products. So actually, that's a bad example. You want to just say, hey, we're a natural products company. Here's our story, right? Kind of same with Heroic Kid. Like, hey, we're here to help serve the children that have type 1 diabetes. And maybe there's a picture of the product, picture of the kids, smiling, right? Now, you can do that by way of a video. So Facebook, you can create a video that can be remarketed. On the Google world, you're going to be creating a video. It's going to get popped into YouTube, and that will be remarketed. So those are both remarketing. You can start with more of a general, hey, remember me? We're awesome. Here's our story. That's kind of a general remarketing. Being more specific is dynamic remarketing. So going back to the top of the list here, we talked about product feeds. If you have sent your product feeds to Google and Facebook, which again is super easy, you can now remarket the exact product that they viewed, whether they bought it, or actually specifically if they did not buy it, they're going to start seeing this exact product and price, both on the Google side, which is basically the entire internet when you're just looking at websites, or in the Facebook, Instagram world, where you're on Facebook and Instagram on your phone. And in both cases, they're going to see the exact product they were at. So I think there's this, they call it the 7 touches, Rich, which I believe has been kind of debunked a little bit. But people don't just see your product and then buy it right away. 99% of the people are going to see a product and then they bolt, right? So you kind of have to, you don't have to, but I strongly recommend you should do remarketing. So if you spend money to get people to your site, or you get them there whatever method it is, 99% of the people are not going to buy. So that's a fact. Deal with it. Yeah. How do you get more than 99% or how do you get more than that 1%? It's remarketing.
Yep. Well, it's funny. I have no idea how this flew into my mind, but we're both parents. And kind of like as parents, we don't spend advertising dollars, but we need to remarket over and over every day. How many times have you told your children a particular thing and they don't buy the first time?
Yes.
And you got to say it again, and you got to say it again, and you got to say it again, and you got to say it again. And eventually they buy, right? Yeah. And so, again, I know that's a strange analogy, but I'm sure you get the point. It's not everybody gets it. Sometimes it's just as simple as they've heard it again. Sometimes they didn't buy because they were looking at work the first time and the boss came in and they closed it down. Other time their significant other just came home and they want to see their family and they shut the computer down. We don't know all those reasons. So remarketing is really just about knowing that at some point in time there was some form of interest and they might just need to hear it again.
Yeah. And by the way, if you've used the internet, if you ever looked at your phone, you're being remarketed to all the time. So when you're like, I was looking at this last week and I see it on my feed, yeah, that's remarketing. That's the other companies that are setting it up. If you're not using that tool, you're not really giving yourself a good shot at making it on the store. And this is the whole goal. This is why you're listening to this podcast, is you're trying to get your store successful. So use remarketing.
Yeah, well, and not only that, just to keep adding on to this, I remember, we've been doing this for a while. Gosh, how many? I don't even want to count the years right now. But remember when it first started, it wasn't necessarily creepy as much as it was fascinating. You literally thought, this company must be huge, right? Because you'd go and you'd look at something and then you would see it over there and you'd go on another side and you'd see it there and you're like, what the heck, man? And then it was like forced serendipity. You just kind of think that I'm destined to buy this thing. But you don't realize it's following you. There are people for the first time having that feeling again right now.
For sure. And I think to your point of, it makes these companies look bigger, it will make your company look bigger. And it's sort of, it legitimizes you. So, I've been doing this a long time. So if I don't get remarketed to, I'm a little worried. Maybe this company is not maybe they're not worth it. Maybe they just, am I going to get delivery of this product? Like, like it's sort of I don't know, like this is a basic tool that you should be using. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of making this my soapbox here, but like you could skip the other things we talked about and then do remarketing, right? Like this is I don't know. You got to do this one here.
You got it.
So yes, do remarketing. I don't know. I don't know if that was convincing or not, but yeah, do remarketing. Okay. So of the options we talked about, they're all great. They can all work independently. So yes, you can use remarketing alone. You can use search alone. You can use display, but they all work better when you do them all together. So there's like a multiplier effect here. So, if you are paying for search and you know that 99% of the people are not going to buy, why wouldn't you do remarketing? Or if you're going to you do search, now this person is pixeled. They're pixeled not just by Google, they're also pixeled by Facebook. So now when they're on Facebook, there's another intent signal for display so we're all tying in together this intent. So now Facebook knows this person is more likely to buy this product, and they might show that, whether it's remarketing or not.
Yeah.
So, and then of course remarketing always kind of like plugs all the holes. So however they got to your site, they will probably get caught up in your remarketing funnel. That's kind of what it's called, a remarketing funnel. So it's like a catch-all. Like you can make a lot of mistakes with whatever you're doing with your business, but if you have remarketing on, it kind of catches. It's like the net, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and to add on to what you're saying there too about this multiplier effect, it kind of goes back to where we were joking, conspiracy theory. If you spend more money, they'll show up your other content. At its basic level, the reason why it will is perfectly stated in what Jesse's talking about with remarketing. They might have came to your site because you have a blog about how to cook pancakes, and they read the blog, and now you can use advertising to remarket to that person and show them your pancake spatula, and they may or may not buy it right then, but you because you had that pixel in, because you did this collective work, you can actually get that same multiplier effect, and you can bring them back to your site. And maybe they don't buy that time again, but maybe now they go back to the blog and they read some of that other stuff you've been doing on past episodes where we're talking about content creation and doing all these other things. But to keep it in context here, that remarketing pixel and your ability to remarket to those people is incredible.
For sure. And to go a little bit deeper on that, the reason why we want to do these all together, is, feeding the algorithms. The Facebook algorithm needs to know, it needs numbers. It doesn't work when you just send 5 visitors to a page. It needs, 50 visitors, 100, 500 visitors. So if you're feeding a bunch of traffic to a page, Facebook starts to see, oh, okay, all these people are on this page. They must. Now I know who likes pancake spatulas. I didn't realize there was a thing. But if you keep feeding all this traffic to one page and a couple people buy, the algorithms start to figure out, okay, got it. We know. And there's this little hidden signal here that you won't know. You don't need to know it. You just need to know that Facebook will start delivering those visitors. And Google has similar mechanisms. So, and the reason I say they all work together, don't say, okay, I'm going to do Google in October, and I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to do Facebook in November, and then turn it off, and then I'm going to do remarketing in December. No, do them all together because there's a multiplier effect at work here. So they all work. They don't necessarily work together, but they work together. I don't know. Again, poor description from the professor here. All right, I got to work on that part.
No, it works. We're throwing a lot at them, but we're trying to remind them at its base level what it is just do this, take action. The more data they get, the better. The more you do this, the more data you're going to get, and you're going to get better at it. And again, this one we're titling it that it's for the holidays, but it's mostly a momentum play. We just want you to get started so you can get that data. And this truly can be applied anytime, though. It's one of those things. I don't know why this is coming to mind, but what's the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago? What's the next best time today, right? You probably should have started doing advertising a while ago.
Yep.
But no matter what, start doing advertising today.
Yep. And the other reason why you start is you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to make a video that you think is awesome, and it's going to describe your product perfectly, and it won't work, right? Or you're going to do an ad that you think has the best text and it describes your unique selling proposition, and then you're going to look at the stats and you'll be like, man, I spent like $300 on this. I have one sale. My product's only $50. So, you will make mistakes, and now you've learned from that. And then you try a different ad and you try a different video, and you're like, okay, I've decreased that cost per sale number. So, you can't improve unless you make mistakes, and you can't make mistakes unless you start. So you have to start you just have to start. So don't wait. Don't listen to this podcast and say like, yeah, I'm going to January 1, I'm going to start. Like, no, just start now. Don't spend more than you can, right? Like don't be dumb. Don't be crazy here and spend all your money. Just spend what you can and learn from that, and rinse, repeat, and try to improve each step along the way. All right, so talked about starting, talked about the insights. Richie, I hope we didn't scare anybody here. What else do we got for him? Anything else?
No, I think this has been fantastic. For the most part, our goal of this episode is to get merchants started, advertising, and get ready for the holidays. So I really want to just remind them at its basic level, advertising is broken into 3 categories: search, display, and remarketing. And they should be using that 80-20 rule we talked about. And we covered lots of different businesses, Pinterest, YouTube, all that stuff. But just use Google and Facebook to get those results, and you will see results.
All right. And Rich, what's the best time to get started?
Right now.
All right. I love it. All right, everybody, get out there, make it happen. Hey, this is Jesse and Rich. We want to let you know we really appreciate you listening.
We hope you find the tips we give you helpful for growing your business.
You can find all of our past episodes and a lot more useful stuff at ecwid.com/podcast.
And also, check us out on your favorite podcasting platform like Apple Podcast or Stitcher, and make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing.
Be sure to let us know what you think by rating and reviewing so we can serve you better.
So subscribe on your favorite platform.
And come join our community, check out the transcripts, or tell us why you would be a great guest at ecwid.com/podcast.